Hey, thanks. Well, a few years ago, I was back in Boston visiting my family, and I took my son Sam to the Coolidge Corner movie theater in Brookline. Now, Sam was about 10 at the time, and this was the age that I was when I started to go to movies there with my dad. The Coolidge Corner was this beautiful old theater, a lot like this one, and it was a really big deal in the 70s to drive all the way in from the suburbs. He'd take me to see great comedies like Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein and the Pink Panther movies, and even one time a Marx Brothers double feature. And the theater was down the street from Fenway Park, and all the other kids my age wanted to grow up to play for the Red Sox, but I kind of wanted to be Groucho Marx. Well, Sam and I go to a lot of movies together, but typically they're the kind with intergalactic battles and superheroes, and we're here to see The Big Lebowski, which I'd seen in college, and I remembered pretty well, but I wasn't 100% sure if Sam would love it, but Sam was always really mature for his age, and when I told him, I said, dude, I think you're ready for your first R-rated movie. He was in. So I get to the ticket office, though, and there's a big sign that says it's sold out. And this is like a Wednesday in August. I couldn't believe it. And the guy in the booth says, oh, yeah, it's been sold out for weeks. And he was completely unmoved by my Marx Brothers story. I mean, I was super bummed. Sam was really bummed. And I was bummed because it was just going to be one of those, beautiful full circle parenting moments. And those just, you really don't come around very often. So we waited around until it was showtime, and we started to leave. And just when we gave up and started to walk away, this guy runs up and says, hey, I got a couple tickets if anybody needs them. I was like, great, yeah. So I'm paying him $20, and I notice he looks at me like, you're bringing him? I was like, there's no time to explain. So we rushed in, no time for popcorn. I didn't want to miss the start of the movie, but I opened the door to the theater, and the show hadn't actually started yet. And that was because on stage was an MC surrounded by all these people dressed up as characters from the movie. There was two guys in bathrobes dressed like the dude, and one guy like Jesus the bowler, and this was really cool. So we're walking down the center aisle because there's no seats. Everyone's sitting and watching. We get all the way to the very front row, right like maybe 3 feet from the stage, and this guy comes out, and he's dressed as John Goodman's character, Walter Sobchak, the crazy Vietnam vet. And my first thought is, oh, cool, maybe he'll do the bit where he tells the dude he can't drive because it's Shabbat, or maybe he'll say, shut the fuck up, Donnie. I mean, Sam will love that. But no, we're about 3 feet from the stage, standing there, when he launches into the routine where Walter takes a crowbar to the car of this kid named Larry, who he thinks has stolen all his money. So we're standing there 3 feet away, and he starts screaming. He's got a real crowbar in his hand. This is what happens, Larry, when you fuck a stranger in the ass. This is what happens, Larry, when you fuck a stranger in the ass. I'm like, oh my God, and it's going on and on and on. And it felt like as many people were watching us as were watching him. And my mind went back to this other movie that I had gone to with my dad. And it wasn't at the Coolidge Corner Theater. It was actually at a drive-in that we had never been to before. And it was a 1970s vigilante movie called Billy Jack and the Born Losers. In the very first scene, you probably remember this, the Born Losers, this motorcycle gang, dragged this poor hippie out of his Volkswagen Beetle and just beat the living crap out of him. He's just covered with blood on this giant screen, and no one would help him. The second scene was shaping up to be a gang rape. And at the time, I was like 11, and I was the oldest of 4 in the car. My mom shot my dad a look, and he turned on the ignition, threw it in reverse, and got us the hell out of there. But the damage was done. That was it for movies with my dad. Now, here I was in my own Billy Jack moment. I'd wanted that full circle parenting moment so much, I just hadn't done my homework. And that was when I heard the MC say, that was great, and look, we have a child in the audience. I looked at Sam, and he looked at me. He did not look happy. I mean, it's every kid's worst nightmare, being stared at by an adult, much less 500 of them. I knew if he could see I was humiliated, he'd be humiliated too. So I just kind of raised my hand. I'm like, yep, Father of the Year right here. And I got a few scattered chuckles. I thought we could find our seat. But the MC wasn't done with us. He just starts talking to Sam. He says, so, first time seeing The Big Lebowski? Sam goes, yeah, it is. And I could hear people kind of around us sort of gasp. And I thought, they're probably thinking back to the first time they saw The Big Lebowski and remembering how great it was. Or maybe there's more stuff about this movie I forgot. We found some seats off to the side, and I kept checking on Sam. I'm looking down at him through the movie, and he wasn't giving anything away. I couldn't really tell if he was enjoying it or not. And I just started to think, oh man, what if he thought that R-rated just meant bigger intergalactic battles and more invincible superheroes? What if he was hating this and hating me? There's nothing I could do, but something I had definitely forgotten from The Big Lebowski came back to me as soon as Julianne Moore floated across the screen in a harness, completely naked. Yeah, there was sex in The Big Lebowski. Mostly what there was, though, even more of, was adults on screen saying fuck. They say fuck 270 times in The Big Lebowski. That's 2.2 fucks per minute. I mean, I did the math when I got home. The movie finally ended, and we're walking out, and all these people came over to Sam, and they said, so, did you like it? And he's like, yeah, I loved it. And they gave him high fives like he had just finished a marathon. It was amazing. We got to the car, and I said, so that's great. You liked it. And he looked at me, and he said, Dad, they forged those F-bombs into comedy gold. Now, I may not be Father of the Year, but that felt pretty fucking great.